and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every single day. And if you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the Magician. We have the High Priestess. We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Hanged Man. That's interesting. I didn't mean to put that like that, but I guess it was meant to. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Swords on the bottom of the deck. The Hanged Man is really sticking out to me because I accidentally, well, it wasn't an accident. I guess Spirit wanted it to be this way because it has a very distinct message to me, whether it's upright or upside down. But I put it right side up to me, which puts it upside down to you. So for you, it looks like Peter Pan, where he's sort of standing on one foot. When the Hanged Man comes out like that to me, there's this sort of reverting back to a younger mindset or a younger version of ourselves. There's like a perspective there about how we view ourselves, how we view situations. Oftentimes it's coming from a immature place or a place that is not in benefit of us, that has to do with our childhood. With the Queen of Swords being on the bottom of the deck and being the overall energy, this has to do with your communication. There's sort of this need to change the way that we have a perspective on certain things so that we can move forward to a more sustainable, positive, long-term future, which is what the Knight of Pentacles represents. Specifically for those of you who struggle with relationships, where there's this sort of, like, things are very passionate in the beginning, but then it sort of fizzles out, or you have a tendency to get yourself into relationships where it's with people that say all the right things, but then their action doesn't always back it, or it starts out where it's equal, but then slowly their action doesn't align with their words. There's this thing about your communication in the past that is not benefiting your manifestations because it's an unhealed piece of you that is not serving you or serving the way you're moving forward. You've gotten a lot of divine guidance from your higher self in some of these situations where your intuition is kind of poking and prodding you like, this isn't right, this is off, whatever, and I feel like you've sort of ignored it. What I'm picking up on here is that in your childhood, you were brought up to where expressing your emotions or being in a state where you were in conflict with anything was perceived as you being a problem. You weren't at the liberty of being able to be honest and open with your emotions. There was some sort of punishment there for that. If you weren't compliant with things, then there was this sort of perspective of everything being your fault. What it's done is that it's caused you to, when you are confronted with uncomfortable situations, or when you're confronted with people who are not who they say they are, or are pressuring you into being a certain way or feeling a certain way, or maybe are critical of you, you have a tendency to shut down and be silent. Instead of confronting the problem head on, you sort of revert back to this state you were in as a child where you just sort of become compliant and silent, and you just sort of let people walk all over you or take advantage of you or treat you poorly. You don't communicate. And then what I'm seeing is that you've sort of learned that you've had to create stronger boundaries, but it's caused you to communicate in the negative polarity of the Queen of Swords, which is somebody who's kind of more nasty, who uses their words as a sword to harm the other person. It becomes more about being right or scoring points on the harm, like, oh, I hurt their feelings, so I get points for that type of attitude, instead of actually solving the problem, because you weren't taught to solve problems as a child. You were taught that to draw any sort of healthy boundaries or to be honest in your emotions and your communication of your emotions was a bad thing. You were not safe in that environment to express yourself fully and in a healthy way, and you weren't safe to draw those healthy boundaries. So what it's done is it's conditioned you to sort of go back to this old mindset of just being compliant. What I'm seeing is that this has really caused issues in your life when it comes to relationships. It reflects heavily in your relationships, most often in your romantic ones, because the Knight of Wands is more of a passionate energy. But I am seeing that this is something that also bleeds into the relationships you have that are not romantic. It bleeds into your relationship with family, where maybe you do a lot of things you don't want to do and then you get upset about it, or you offer a lot of help because you feel like you're expected to, but then you feel like nobody's appreciative of it because you're not getting the reaction you want. A lot of this is stemming from the unhealed child that you were when you were younger, who was not safe in expressing their emotions and drawing healthy boundaries, who was seen as a problem for having strong boundaries, for wanting respect, and for wanting to be treated in a healthy and right way, essentially. So what you're being prompted to do here is heal this so that your manifestations can be more consistent. You can trust in your intuition more, and you can tap into a more divine version of yourself, a version of yourself that's more standing in your power, a version of yourself that is able to draw the healthy boundaries and communicate them in a healthy way where it's not hurting the people around you. Because you have to remember, not everybody is taking advantage of you because they have negative intentions at heart. We often teach people how to treat us. You're really being prompted to look at this from a new perspective, to figure out where this old version of you is, when it's becoming that you're stepping into that person, and how to prevent it from happening. And it's going to require you to really confront your problems head on. Learn how to draw those healthy boundaries. Learn how to not shut down, how to not just be compliant. And it's going to require you to step out of your comfort zone in that way, because it's going to require you to, instead of giving your power away, to reclaim it and to not just fall into that silent, compliant person. If you can work on this, you're going to be able to manifest things in a way that's in a lot more alignment with what you truly desire and need, and what's going to be truly more fulfilling for you. I'm seeing that you are attracting a lot of this sort of energy because you haven't learned how to respond differently, how to direct it differently. And I'm seeing that a lot of you haven't recognized yet that you do this. So this week, I highly prompt you to do some journaling, to be a gentle observer of yourself so that you can see the way that your mindsets, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions change when you're confronted with conflict, and find healthy ways to adjust your behavior so that you're not giving all your power away every time you feel like you're in an uncomfortable position. You need to be able to stand up for yourself and trust in your own ability to have your own back. This will play heavily into your self-confidence, your self-worth, those things, because it will affect how much you trust your own decision making and you trust yourself. So if this reading resonated with you, don't forget to like this video. Your affirmation for this reading is, I am reclaiming my power and choosing to confront my problems head on instead of shutting down, being silent, and or being compliant. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.